Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 75. All-American Rejects Bring Back the 2000s. So guys, in today's episode, I want to talk about the punk rock band who became popular during the early 2000s, All-American Rejects, with awesome songs such as Move Along, Dirty Little Secret, Swing Swing, and they're currently in the midst of making a comeback, in probably the coolest way possible, by going to houses to play music.
I'm back, baby!
I'm also going to be getting into the John Brenkus, the sports science guy from SportsCenter for many years who passed away this past week after a battle with depression. And I want to give some really powerful mental health tips, as well as my overall thoughts on the whole situation. I'm also going to be sharing a clip from the Mind the Game podcast this past week, where NBA star Luka Doncic was a guest on the podcast, and they spoke about this idea of burnout in sports, and why only playing one sport all year round might not be the best thing for athletes.
You know this is my crazy time of year.
I also have a really interesting clip and perspective that talks about why it says that every athlete needs to be exactly like Kobe Bryant is actually an unhealthy standard. And while I do love the whole mamba mentality, and to have adopted so much of that mindset into my own life, I do have to agree that many aspects of Kobe only worked for him, but we should not be trying to emulate all these things, nor should we be expecting this of today's athletes. I also have a clip that talks about why what you focus on you're going to get more of, and to close things up, I have a clip that talks about why average athletes,
when I told y'all Crabtree was mediocre, at best,
when they're younger, so often become the better athletes than the ones who are constantly praised from a young age and told how great they are without ever having to earn it. Anyways, without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know, that must mean not subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All links purchased on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. It's JAREDRYANWEIS.com. Buy the book. Also, make sure to check out all the awesome shirts I have on that website. Every shirt is 100% organic cotton. Every shirt has its own motivational saying, such words in it. All really cool stuff, all designed by me. So any support at all is very much appreciated. Let's dive deeper now. So first, I have a really cool story that I want to share about the punk rock band All-American Rejects. So let's first watch this clip together.
It is the coolest thing that you're doing these. So, thanks for being here, and let's start from that.
Dude,
you guys are
thanks,
just doing house parties and random shows.
Yeah, we're doing house parties. This was an idea born in we played USC in Los Angeles because we did a show the night before for a bunch of suits, and it was like a big limp. Man, it was awful, man. It was so whack. And so we just took a flyer out on a local college radio station. We're like, hey, you got a house we can play at? And they're like, we scared up somebody that's brave enough to do it. And it was like the veil was lifted on 400 of these 20-somethings who just never have crowd surfed before.
Yeah.
And wanted to bring 40s and hold them in the air.
Yeah.
Sounds righteous, man.
So how many have you done?
We've done 8, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's funny. We did a bowling alley the other night because we got rained out at the house. Thank God. It was going to be a fucking disaster. And so 5,000 people wrapped around the block. And we made the call. We're like, we can only get 500 people. And the bowling alley guy's like, I'm going to get shut down. So we're like, let's just kick them out right after we play and do a second set. And we did, man. We got another crowd in.
Cool. That's awesome.
It's feral, man. It's great.
And you're doing them. You're not you're just doing them for free for the people.
For the people, my friend. For the people.
That's
yeah, man.
so
Dude,
cool.
This system of we're watching it fall right now. Like these paper tickets, giant dynasties going to these giant rooms. And selling half the room, $800 a pop, and then they dish out hundreds of tickets to local promoters to just give them away to the next 20,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's like I'm the guy who bought an $800 ticket, and Joe Blow behind me didn't pay anything for the sausage I bought.
Yeah.
How is there not a big class action lawsuit?
So, I've always had a very wide variety taste in music. I listen to a ton of rap and hip-hop, as well as super positive pop music from people like Andy Grammer, Jelly Roll, etc. But an underrated genre that I've always loved is 2000s punk rock music. Bands like All-American Rejects, Simple Plan, Good Charlotte, Bowling for Soup. So when I saw that the All-American Rejects were making a comeback, and the way that they did it really intrigued me. As Tyson Ritter, the lead singer of All American Rejects, was just saying, they've been doing a house party tour. And while I'm not the whole party type person, I've never been into the whole party scene, I do love the purpose behind it. It really is true punk rock, which our society's been lacking for many years now.
No way. That is so punk rock.
So what they're doing is, they're actually going around all the high-priced tickets and scammers out there and getting back to the roots and actually giving back to the fans, which is why this whole tour has been such a massive success. You need some pushback against the norms, because as we know, society is always going to try to keep everything one way, and this of course only benefits a certain group of people. But this tour is actually about giving back to the fans and rejecting the norms of society, which is of course what punk rock is supposed to be all about.
We stuck it to the man.
And this is why I'm all for supporting independent artists, supporting small content creators, supporting small businesses. Because I know from my own experience, it takes a ton of hustle and a ton of heart to actually get your stuff out there. So anyways, really cool story. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Next up, I want to share a sad story, but I'm going to give a powerful, hopeful message at the end of it. So sadly, this past week, John Brenkus, the former sports science guy, one of the best shows ever on SportsCenter/ESPN. I mean, this show always had the best ideas, and of course it was super innovative, but unfortunately this guy died this past week after a long battle of depression. Now I do actually have a clip I want to share where he was detailing his battle with depression, and at this time he was actually overcoming it.
I fell into a very deep depression. I had come off of selling my company, selling Sports Science, ESPN, and you're kind of living in Park City, trying to feeling like you're retiring, and oh my God, I made it. And the isolation that you feel living in a mountain town, the cold weather, injuries, things not going right. I spiraled into a deep, deep depression, and I was flat out suicidal. So much so, I had a noose tied around my neck. I was ready to do it, and my dog, Zeppelin, came to my rescue, literally pulled on my pants, on my jeans, and literally was going crazy, wouldn't leave me alone. And I, in my suicidal funk, was like, what am I doing? I literally picked up my phone, called my mom. I said, there's something wrong with me. I am mentally lost. I then went through a battle. I mean, I'm telling you, a battle to get out of it. I went to 6 different psychologists and psychiatrists, finally found my answer, finally found the way, and never since that day where I found Dr. Sendy, who is actually in Virginia, he led me down the right path. We found a solution, and I have never been depressed a day in my life from that moment forward. And I am so grateful for the angel Dr. Sendy who came down and really was able to demonstrate to me that depression is not about being sad. It's about the way that we are constructed as humans, having thought loops. And people get caught in thought loops and they can't get out of their own way. And that's why you see people who seem like they're perfectly fine, but inside their head, they're just looping and looping and looping. And they try to quiet those voices. And unfortunately, look, mental health, suicide, it's a real thing. And I counted myself out, and I consider it my greatest blessing and greatest victory that I went to and had to march through the valley of darkness to get where I am today.
So, rest in peace, John. Of course, I never knew him, but he did seem like a really cool guy who was great at what he did. So this is also a powerful reminder to check up on your people as best you can and as often as you can. Everyone is struggling with something we don't know about. So any way that you can ease someone else's pain can of course go a super long way. Give people compliments. Ask them how they're doing. Ask people how they're feeling and then genuinely listen to them. That's sometimes all it takes. Do your best to spread more love and positivity into the world. Everyone needs it. And for those of you who right now are dealing with some mental health struggles, as I have plenty of times in my own life too, know that the storms will pass. It's okay to not be feeling your best all the time. You do have to feel all of your emotions in order to heal, and you don't want to be suppressing them either. And a helpful post I saw on the subject a few days ago, coming from an account called Carnivore Aurelius, who I oftentimes feel he deals in blanket statements and black and white statements, and could sometimes come across in a condescending manner. But of course, he also does have some really good takes too. And this post was one of them. So the post said, "Stop trying to control your thoughts, it won't work. David Hawkins talked about how all thoughts are downstream of feelings. One repressed feeling will control thousands of thoughts. The key to changing your mind is releasing your repressed sadness, guilt, anger, etc. And the way to do this is to get in touch with your body, move, sit in silence, and listen to your triggers. Silence and sitting through and feeling those negative feelings is essential. And to add to that, I've also found that detoxification of the mind and body is so key as well. Detoxing the body from all types of toxins, toxic foods and heavy metals also. And also detoxing your life as a whole from bad people, bad content, bad music. Detoxing from things that take away your energy as opposed to uplift you. All these things can make a huge difference in your mental health too, as I've discovered greatly in my own experience. So life isn't always easy, but it is worth it. So once again, make sure to always check up on your people, see how everyone's doing, and try your best to spread more love, kindness, and positivity into the world. The next clip I want to share came from the Mind the Game podcast this past week, from an episode where Luka Doncic was a guest alongside LeBron James and Steve Nash, of course. So the clip had to do with how kids are burning out from specializing in one sport too early and for too long.
Me and my guys, we ran track and field as well when we were super duper young. You know, we played football all the way, American football all the way through high school. We didn't just cap it at one thing, you just did one thing all year round. And I think a lot of kids burn the hell out. You just tell them to do okay, I'm gonna just do this one all year round. I'm just play basketball or just play volleyball or just play soccer all year round. You burn out, you know, at 22, 23, 24, you know, because you've just been doing this or younger.
13,
yeah, 13. They start, you know, they say, fuck the hell with it. I'm done. I don't even want to play no more. You know, so you know, I don't think putting the cap on these kids, being able to, they should be able to just explore, man.
Do they still play on the playground in Slovenia?
Not much.
Even there, it's still more programmed now.
And also, part of the episode, they were actually saying how 70% of kids quit playing sports by the age of 13, I think. Especially because the seriousness of every moment and the constant structure and critiquing often takes away from the enjoyment of the game.
So we can talk about some sloppy play. Lately, I've noticed a general blatant disregard for our game plan.
They were also saying in the episode how so many coaches and adults actually place way too much pressure on the kids, and this doesn't allow them to make mistakes, which are essential to growth and development for all of us, obviously. Says he that everything needs structure is actually hurting kids by not allowing them to experiment for themselves. Allowing for play is so important for kids and adults too, but when you're getting criticized for every mistake you make, every shot you miss,
Ambrose, saw a bunch of nonsense out there. What was going through your head out there last week?
that's gonna make you not want to try again. Furthermore, in the episode, LeBron was also saying how he told his kids that family time is necessary and basketball can't be an all year round thing. He said how he's even cool with his kids playing video games. Because, once again, only doing one thing all the time will not only burn your body out, but it's also going to take away enjoyment from that thing because you're going to lose the whole newness of it. So changing things up every so often and taking breaks will actually strengthen your love for that thing, and will also help to keep your mind fresh and keep your body fresh too. Next up, I have a clip coming from a TikTok account called Christina's Present. She's always giving great advice for mental health and life advice. So this clip talks about why the more you stress about something and the more you focus on what you don't want, you're actually going to get more of it.
Have you ever noticed the more you stress about something, the more it shows up? That's not a coincidence. Energy doesn't understand what you do not want. It just follows your focus. So when you're constantly focused and thinking about what you fear, what you're lacking, what you're trying to avoid, you're actually feeding it. You attract what you give energy to, even if it's the opposite of what you say you want. So instead, if you want peace, focus on the feeling of peace. If you want love, start embodying that. If you want abundance, stop rehearsing scarcity. Start feeling the feelings you want to feel instead of focusing on what you do not want or what you are trying to avoid. Your mind is the steering wheel. Wherever you point it, that's where your life is going to go. Let me know in the comments if you've noticed this in your own life. Love you guys.
So this brings me to one of my all-time favorite quotes, which is, what you resist will persist, and also, where your focus goes, energy flows. So she says this perfectly, how you need to amplify more of the things that you want in your life. And this is a big reason why you need to speak your dreams into existence. And this is also why I've realized how important it actually is to seek out good news and seek more of what I want in life. Find the stories of people who are achieving. Find the story of the person who's doing random acts of kindness just for goodness sake. And this is a positive side of the algorithm, is that it actually reflects what's going on in our heads and what we're searching for. So if we're actually intentional with our social media usage, we can actually get more of the stories that bring us positivity and hope in our lives. On the flip side though, if you're looking for reasons to be angry or upset,
We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this!
Or if you're searching for wars or poverty, or people dying and people suffering, you will find those too. Our brains love to be right, so they're often going to create like a whole self-fulfilling prophecy, which is why it's so pivotal to be careful with where you're directing your energy and your focus. Moving ahead, I want to share an interesting perspective that like in the past I probably would have disagreed with, but now that like I understand the importance of rest, balance, and having an overall healthy lifestyle, I see why this perspective actually makes so much sense to me. So the clip is about stop expecting everyone to be exactly like Kobe Bryant, because it's actually hurting athletes, and also like it's hurting athletes' perspectives on how to carry themselves and how to handle themselves. Let's watch together.
Kobe Bryant was a psycho. Stop asking athletes of today to be like him. Michael Jordan was a psycho. We can't keep asking athletes to be like Mike. If you're not a huge sports fan, you may have never seen the video where this screenshot behind me is from. And this is one of the most iconic videos of Kobe Bryant, where he's asked by a reporter, your team is up 2-0, you don't look happy. And Kobe says, what's there to be happy about? Job's not finished. And because we consider Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant to be the gold standard of competitiveness and what a winner looks like, we almost expect every single athlete to not be happy if they're up 2-0 and the job's not finished yet, and to not be happy if the season ends and they don't win the championship. And I just feel like it's unrealistic to expect this out of everybody when only one team at the end of the NBA season is going to be happy. Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves lost in the playoffs last night. They were eliminated by the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. To paint this picture for you guys, the Minnesota Timberwolves were the 6th seed in the West. He knocked down a lot of big dogs to get to this point, and the Oklahoma City Thunder have been the best team in the West all season. I'm not saying they weren't supposed to try or they were supposed to get beat down, and we can talk about that another day, but they were supposed to lose. He's being criticized today for saying that he's not hurt about it in the press conference after the game. He said, I'm only 23 years old. I'm actually excited because I get to do this so many more times in my career. I'm more so hurt for Mike Conley, his teammate. Mike Conley is one of the veterans on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I believe he's like 37 years old. And he's one of those guys in the NBA that people just want to see win a championship. He's kissed the surface of having competitive teams, but never quite got there. And Ant really wanted to do this for his teammate, but he was eliminated. This is a photo from the night Anthony Edwards was drafted, first overall in the NBA draft, with portraits of his late mother and grandmother sat next to him because they both passed away due to cancer like a month apart. And I feel like when you go through a loss like this, I can imagine because I've never been through it myself, it really puts things in perspective for you that it's just not that serious. Like, at the end of the day, I know people hate to hear this. It's not. It's just basketball. Giannis Antetokounmpo gave a great speech about how there is no failure in sports, only learning and developing. And yeah, you get disappointed when you don't lose. All of these guys are competitive. That's why they're in the NBA. So yeah, the competitive nature that we saw from Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan was incredible. But we can't keep expecting guys to replicate it because if you know anything about these guys, they were insane. And would you rather them clip farm and be like, job's not finished, or be themselves?
So, she makes an amazing point with how different perspectives and different ways of accomplishing things don't have to be wrong. I mean, like, to hold everyone like to the same exact standard when all these people are different doesn't have to make one person right and one person wrong. 2 + 2 = 4, but so is 3 + 1. There's different ways of getting to that end destination.
Right, wrong. Right, wrong.
And yes, of course this mindset may work for Kobe, to be training 6 hours a day, 6 days a week for 6 months of the year, and to never ever stop to take a break. But also, of course, towards the end of his career, his body starts to break down, and I think he actually finally understood the importance of rest and balance, as well as like meditation too. So look, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Kobe Bryant and his whole mindset, I'm a huge fan of Michael Jordan and his whole mindset, I love the whole mamba mentality and pushing beyond your limits, and being so strong-minded that like you could overcome anything. However, for someone like me, for many years, I took this whole mindset way too literally and ended up getting hurt for that. Everyone has to do like what works best for them, and for the vast majority of people, this idea of playing through injuries, or not being happy when your team does well, or not like hating yourself if your team loses, or actually training to a point that your body can't physically handle, is not the way to go. And to expect this from today's athletes is hurting them, and it's hurting like the way that so many of us view them. Training methods have improved, mindsets have improved, mental health has become part of the conversation. We also now understand the importance of rest and balance, and sleep and nutrition, as well as living an overall holistic, healthy lifestyle. And And this is why, like, I think when you see guys like LeBron and Steph Curry, who actually have more fun and seem to be enjoying their time on the court more, and their performance has continued to get better as they get older. And also, like, the way that Kobe and Jordan treated their teammates wasn't really conducive to a healthy team environment or having team chemistry oftentimes. Now look, of course both of them won all their championships, but once again, doing it this way is not the only way, and it's not for everyone. But yet, in spite of all this, sports media and all the critics out there, as well as so many coaches, have glamorized some of the negative aspects of Kobe and MJ. But these expectations for everyone are unfair and oftentimes like actually ridiculous. They're holding up athletes to a standard that's actually unhealthy. So let me know your thoughts on this topic down below. Let me know if you guys agree with me as well as this person, or if you guys disagree totally. Next, we have like a very powerful Jay Shetty clip that talks about how when you invest in yourself, everyone wins.
Am I giving people the best of me or giving them my leftovers? And most of us are just giving our leftovers. And by the way, that's not your fault. It's how things have been structured, how society's been conditioned. But if you start investing in yourself, your parents get a better version of you, your partner gets a better version of you, your kids get a better version of you. You will give the best version of yourself to everyone if you've done the one thing in your day for 3 minutes for yourself, whether that's a coffee, watching a video, whatever it be for you.
So, you can't give the best version of yourself to others until you give that to yourself. As I'm often saying, it's essential like to fill up your own cup first before you give to others, because some people out there are only going to take from you, others are going to try to poke holes in your cup. So if you're always giving of yourself without taking care of your health or without protecting all of your priorities and protecting your own energy, eventually you're not going to have anything positive left to offer. So while so many of us have been taught that it's selfish to take time for yourself, and like it's selfish to take care of yourself, but as we've all seen the phrase on the planes goes, put your own oxygen mask on first before helping others, or before assisting others. There's a reason why this phrase holds true when it comes to our own mental health too. Because if you're not healthy, everyone loses. It's not selfish, it's actually ultimately selfless, because healed people are going to help other people heal, while hurt people are going to hurt other people and aren't going to be able to take care of anyone. Now finally in this week's episode, I have a clip coming from Lewis Howes on why average kids, or at least average kids early on in life, will often go farther and become better than the ones who were seen as elite.
When I was in 8th grade, I'm like 6'4". They had me practicing with the varsity team in basketball, even though I was in the middle school. And I wasn't as good as the seniors, but I could keep up with some of them. And there was this guy who still to this day is the most freak athlete I've ever seen. It was unbelievable to just watch him effortlessly jump up under the rim, 360 dunk. Like in practice, it was godlike. But for whatever reason, in the game, he played average every game. I remember I never really understood it because I was tall, but I didn't have the athleticism, like the power. And I was like, man, give me an ounce of that and I will dominate people.
That is consistent with some of the data that exists on kids who are straight A students, top of their class. Their whole life they get told, you're so smart, you're the best. And then what ends up happening is they end up playing safe the rest of their life because they don't want to not be that. And his identity, in practice, people telling him, you're the best, you're amazing, we've never seen anything like that before. Now, he can't bring it when there's real odds and real stakes. And average kids are never told, you're so smart, you're so great. Average kids are told, great effort. And so there is no ceiling. You just keep going because you're getting rewarded for your effort, not your accomplishment.
When I was in 8th grade.
Now, of course, this isn't always the case. However, so oftentimes, and I witnessed this in my own sports career as well, many of the kids like who made the A team in the early years, while I started off making the B team, but like by me being doubted early on, I had to work harder to overcome these obstacles. And I was able to use this work ethic to go further and become way better than the kids who got favored early on. As he was just saying, when you're always told like how good you are before having to work for it, you may think to yourself, I'll never have to earn this. Or on the flip side, you end up playing it safe because like you actually have everything to lose. On the flip side though, when you realize like that you have to grind and milk every last ounce of energy out of yourself in order to achieve success, of course some people out there are just going to quit and crumble, but others of us are going to take that as an invitation to become the best version of ourselves and to become so undeniably good that they can't ignore us ever again. This is the underdog mentality, and this is like the mentality that like I've lived my whole life by. So guys, now that like the NBA Finals is knotted up at 1 apiece after Thunder won Game 2 pretty handily, I'm here to give you guys my thoughts. So like Game 2, the main difference I think was that like all the other Thunder players stepped up. So like OKC had 5 guys in double figures, from Caruso, who played amazing. I mean like I always knew like Caruso was a great defender and like a very smart player and like a great passer, but like I never knew like he had this much of like an offensive arsenal as well as being like a knockdown 3-point shooter. I mean, if he can keep this up, you add into that guys like Aaron Wiggins, who comes off the bench and hits 5 threes. You have Chet Holmgren, who stepped up big time in Game 2. You have Jalen Williams, whose shot was falling. And then, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has looked incredible so far this series. I mean, like, his mid-range game has been unstoppable. He's been able to get, like, whatever he wants in the paint. And, like, honestly, whenever Shai, like, isn't being the whole free throw merchant or the foul baiter, he's actually an incredible player to watch. I mean, his handles are on point. He sets the tone. He's actually a great leader. Now, also, as we all know, the OKC Thunder's defense is incredible. They're always going to swarm every ball handler as soon as he touches the paint. And, like, I think early on in this game, the Thunder defense set the tone and set the pace for this game, as opposed to, like, allowing Halliburton to set the tone and to control the pace for the Pacers. Because, as we know, the Pacers are going to rely on their offense to defense, while the Thunder, on the other hand, are going to use defense to create offense. Also, I feel like another big factor in this game was, like, Halliburton wasn't able, like, to get to the paint early on, and, like, I think Halliburton thrives whenever he's starting off with, like, his paint touches and then getting easy buckets in the paint, and then his three and his outside shot starts to fall. But, like, the OKC Thunder obviously made a concerted effort to shut him down early. Some good things for the Pacers to look forward to in Game 3 and 4 are going to be Miles Turner's been shooting great. Pascal Siakam definitely has to stay aggressive and definitely has to, like, stay in attack mode in order for them to win. Aaron Nesmith's 3 has been on fire this whole series and this whole playoffs. But, like, one thing, like, I would actually suggest them, if I actually had access to them, would actually be to play TJ McConnell more and play more early on, especially because, as we know, he's always going to get to the paint early and often. And then he could create for other guys like Obi Toppin, who in Game 1 was incredible. He had like 5 threes in Game 1. Game 2, a lot of the Pacers players early on were not able to get their shots, especially because the OKC Thunder was causing tons of turnovers. Now, I still think like OKC should be favored in this series, especially if they could keep getting contributions from their other guys, because you always know what you're going to get from Shai. But, like, as long as Isaiah Hartenstein can keep making those passes, Alex Caruso can keep scoring at a high level, Jalen Williams hits his shots, and you've guys like Casey Wallace and Lou Dort who are playing incredible defense, the Thunder are showing why they are the best team. But, like, of course, you can never count the Pacers out, because at the end of games, they're always going to be, like, a totally different team. But they're going to have to do it earlier and often. They're going to have to get to the paint more, stay in attack mode, and not make as many turnovers, which is, of course, easier said than done against an OKC Thunder defense, which is always incredible, especially because OKC Thunder has so many bodies that, like, that team could throw at you. So anyways, I'm still picking OKC to win the series, although having said that, Game 1 definitely threw the whole series for a loop, I think. And of course, in sports, anything could happen. Let me know your thoughts so far in the series so far. I actually think, like, overall, like, it has been really good basketball, even though, of course, the ratings aren't going to show that, which is something I predicted before the series even started. So let me know your thoughts down below. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the little topics from this episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, believe in yourself. You got this. Catch you next time. Peace.